So we finished our project on the element of art line, and now we're going to move on to the next element of art, and I'm going to introduce you to shape. So for this project, I decided that we would learn how to draw crystals and gems. So we're going to break it down step by step. And the first step, and I'm using a pencil because I need to be able to erase. And you're welcome to use a ruler if you would like to, but for art, typically, I like for it to be more natural. All right, so after we have the V shapes, I'm going to connect those. And I need to erase a little bit right there. Not a big deal. Draw lightly, and that way you can erase. All right, so now we have the basic shape. And I'm going to draw lines inside like that. All right, so then the next step is to connect those lines. So that you have more of a gem shape. And then connect these lines. And voila. Of course, right now it may just look like a math geometric form, but once you start putting the color on there, it's going to change how it looks. Now, I'm not real crazy about that one, so I'm going to practice some more on my paper, because the first time I do something, I'm never 100% pleased. So I'll come back and we can get together again after we both practice some more on getting this shape done. Then we're going to move on to a diamond shape. Okay, so with the magic of video, I went ahead and finished. I would like for you to do 4 as well, because each one was different. This was the first one. Now, the beauty about outlining pencil, you can go back, fix what you don't like, then come back and erase it, and then you have much better shapes. That's why it's really important to draw lightly. And I'll go back and tidy this up some more. But basically, this was an exercise to draw the gems or crystals. So what we're going to do next is move on to another shape. I guess this would be more emerald shape. And then we're going to move on to a more traditional diamond shape gem. So again, we're going to do 4. That way we can practice, we can see, and I just put little sparklies around that one so that it that shows movement. It can show texture, shiny. So anyway, we'll learn about that too. And remember to have your blotter paper between each page. So I'm going to switch over to another sheet. I am going to put my blotter paper behind there to protect it, and I am going to start to draw the diamond shape. Okay, so the first step is to draw, and I'm going as lightly as possible, a trapezoid shape, just like that. Now, what I'm noticing about these as I talk to you, and I'll flip back to this for a second, you know, a shape can either be a shape or form. So what we did is we took triangles, rectangles, and lines, and we created a form from those basic shapes. So that's the same concept we're going to do with the diamond. There we have a trapezoid, and we're going to, I like to put a ghost point down here. We're going to draw lines, and then that creates a triangle. So you have a trapezoid on top of a triangle. One of the other lines we learned about was zigzag. And take your time. These you pretty much do want the same size. All right. And you might do them more narrow, and I might try that on another one, and then that would have more facets. So anyway, there is the next step. Now, everywhere that the zigzag touches the bottom of the trapezoid, we are going to connect it to the point of the triangle, the upside down triangle. Okay, that's it. That's your diamond shape. So I'm going to draw a few more, and then I'll bring the video back up and draw 4. There's one. Same steps, just try to draw them shorter, more elongated, just practice. So I'll be right back in a minute and we will look at the next part of the project. Okay, again, magic video. I have done 4 and I'm not crazy about that, but that's okay, I finished it anyway. This one, I think with the larger the trapezoid is, the more odd it looks. That's probably my favorite, so I put the little shimmer lines around it. So anyway, what I think we're going to try next is we're going to look at how to draw a cluster. Some of you might be comfortable right here or with the one before that, but some of you might want to draw on and make a cluster of crystals. So we're going to take a look at how to do that. It's a little more complicated, but if you can do these two, you can do it. So I will get myself organized, come right back, and we will draw the cluster of crystals. Okay, so to draw the cluster of crystals, you're going to start with the basic, almost the whole thing, just missing the bottom piece because these are going to be coming out of the ground. So this is overlapping, which is a good art term. We're going to draw these same shapes. And if you need to turn your paper, perfect. So we're going to come down and bring it down a little past there so that you actually can give it the angles that you need. All right, now they can't just be sticking out like that. So we're going to use another type of line, a bumpy line, to give it a little idea of some earth. All right, just something kind of fun. And you can always come back in and add, I think I want one right here. Oh, I like that. So I'm going to outline this and then I'll come back to the video again and we'll see, because I've got a lot of corrections to do here with my Sharpie marker and outlining. Oh, and I forgot that one. So anyway, let me get busy on that and I will come right back with the fully outlined cluster. Okay, I didn't erase my lines yet because I wanted for you to really see that I do some changing as I outline, because I may not like those lines. I may feel like that's too short. This one was too short, so I went ahead and made it taller. And I think once I get some color on it, it will really differentiate one from the other since they overlap so much. So go ahead and practice that. You might want to do a couple. I'm going to do another one as well. I don't have room on here unless I do a little smaller. So go ahead and practice that a couple more times, and then we're going to look and see which one is your favorite to take to the project. Okay, so we practiced drawing 4 different emerald shapes, if you will. I don't really know what shape this is. And then we did practice drawing of 4 diamond shapes. So what I want to show you is different supplies for the job, different media for the job. This one right here is marker. So instead of just taking a marker and coloring in the whole thing, a solid purple or a solid pink, you can actually use more than one color on the same section. So I've used pink and I've used purple. I've put a little bit of yellow, and it doesn't necessarily blend the way that you might like or think, but it overlaps beautifully. So if that's the supply that you have, that's a good way to use that. I'm gonna put a little bit of yellow in there so you can see that it does brighten it up, and anywhere you have a little white area, come back with yellow, and it gives it a beautiful look to it. Okay, the next one right here with the little shimmer lines around it, I used crayon. And I just pulled out a few crayons that I thought looked nice together. I didn't use them all, but I pulled them out because I thought they would look good. Crayon definitely does not blend as well as other media. So you can see there's wax, it's wax. Wax doesn't blend as well. So what I do if I only have crayons around is I can use a white crayon to go over it and kind of smooth it out, give it a little bit of a smoother finish, but nothing's going to be streak free with a crayon. Okay, down here I used colored pencils, and once again I just picked out some colors. Look at some pictures of gemstones on the internet. Look at photographs, look at drawings, look at watercolors, because those are going to be great sources for inspiration, because yours should not look like mine. Your drawings should not look like mine, because you might be a lot better at this than I am. So anyway, I picked a couple of colors that I like together, and then I just kind of colored them all over. So if you want to add more to it, I'll take this green and I can add more and get it even flatter without the streaks in it. And then you can come back and overlap with a different color and blend them together. Colored pencils do overlap a little bit better with less of the drawing lines. Okay, so then the last one, which I think worked the best for me, and this is just practice of course, is watercolor. So I have a very small palette and I don't have a giant one, so you don't really need a giant one because I'm happy with what I have. And anyway, I like the way that I am able to use one color, the blue, and less water made it darker down here, and then more water gave it the lighter look, which really gave it more of a realistic watercolor look. And for practice, which I'm not super crazy about, but how am I going to know if I don't practice? I put a little bit of yellow in there for some highlight. This side looks a little bit better than here, but practice. Then down here, I brought in a little bit of red, very little, with a brush, and swept it up like that. And it kind of gives it a shimmer, three-dimensional, glassy kind of look. So I'm going to work on the diamonds, and I think my two favorite ones are probably the marker and the watercolor. So I'm going to flip over, I forget the blotter paper. I'm going to flip over to my diamonds, and I'm going to play around with that, and then I'll come back and we'll look at a couple more things that you need to work on for this project on shape and form. All right, so I have finished with my diamond shapes, and I used watercolor, yellows and greens. This one I used reds and blues, and this one down here, my palette does not have a purple in it. So I practiced some color theory, which we'll get into, and I mixed red and blue and got some purple shades. That was just for fun. I didn't like that one anyway. Now this one right here is interesting. This is the marker, which everybody probably can get their hands on markers. But I had heard that you could take water, and since it's water soluble, marker, I'd heard that you can actually take some water and can't paint with it, but you can take a damp brush, and watch right here, and ever so gently push that pigment around, and then you have a combo marker / watercolor. So these, once again, are practice. So that was a fun thing to practice. That was fun. So anyway, now we're going to look at the cluster. And if you drew one of those, we'll look and see what one of those looks like when it's colored all in. Okay, so here's my clusters, and I chose watercolor because that's what I'm most comfortable with, but that does not mean that's what you're most comfortable with. So I used the blues and the purples and the reds on this one, obviously, and this one, the dark green, light green, little bit of blue, obviously. So for the earth, I was trying to figure out, I can't just have it floating on white. That's a pet peeve of mine. I don't think it looks finished. So I did some research, and this came from a wonderful website that I will put the link to help you out if you need some extra guidance. Excellent website. I'll put that link in this assignment. But the earth for the clusters was basically a wonderful mix of the colors for each one of those. And I didn't want any brush strokes, so I made sure that I used a round motion. Lots of water in that, good pigmentation. So there you've seen 3 different types. Let me move my blotter paper. You've seen 3 different projects, practices. So now your assignment, after you've done these, of course, that's part of your work, but now your assignment is to choose one of those or a cluster and do a final piece. Nice and large, just one, any one you want to. Now, if you want to get on the internet and you want to look up other shapes of gemstones or crystals or other formations, go for it. This is your project. It should not look like mine. So I can't wait to see these. I'm going to maybe do a little research on my computer and see what I can come up with that's a little different from these. So enjoy it. Use whatever you have. Do not stress. Don't feel like you have to run to the Walmart or the box store. And when we come back together again, I will love taking a look at what you've done. Okay, so here is my finished project. I chose an emerald, which means we didn't draw this together, so I went to the internet like I suggested, and I found a different crystal or gem and decided to try that. The colors I used, I chose watercolor, but you had options available to you according to what you have. And I chose dark green, light green, yellow, and blue to do my emerald or emerald cut gem. I wanted a background. I didn't want to leave it white. That was just my choice. So I did a wet on wet, which is a technique we'll learn later. But wet on wet is simply getting the paper damp with clean water and then dabbing a little bit of the colors on there with the brush, and they spread. I took a little bit of salt and sprinkled it on there, and then when it was dry, rubbed it off over the trash can, and it leaves a texture in the background. Just did it for fun. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this project. We're going to move on. So enjoy this, and I cannot wait to see what you come up with.